Hey guys, this is part 5 of the Velocidrone track editor guide. In this video, I will cover how to add cones to your track. The first step is to go to the Tools folder of the Asset library and select the Spline tool, which is the first one. When placing down the spline, keep in mind that if you want to place down cones, you should only be selecting points on the ground for your spline. If you accidentally click on a flag, it'll inadvertently place the spline point off the ground, which will stuff up your spline. If you do make this mistake, depending on how long your spline is, the easiest course of action is just to restart. This is done by firstly deselecting your spline tool by double right clicking, and now we have the access to manipulate each of the nodes separately. We could simply move and reground the spline point, but sometimes that can get a little bit janky. So I'd just rather right click on the spline to turn it red, and then press Shift D to delete the spline entirely. Then we just reselect it and continue drawing as if nothing happened. Keeping in mind once again not to accidentally click on any elevated objects. Double right click to deselect, and now we've got a successful grounded spline. If you find that your spline is missing a little bit of detail in the corners, and you might want to add another spline node, this is easy. Simply right click on the spline so it turns red, then go to the second option in the Tools menu, which is Individual Spline Nodes, and carefully place it on the red line. This will seamlessly integrate that node into your spline, allowing you to have an extra point of manipulation. Now that I've covered all the basic ways to manipulate the spline, it's just a matter of making it look nice and neat. You can do this by selecting the spline nodes once the line is red. We do that by right-clicking, and then moving them using the two-dimensional plane translation widget, which is just this little green plane here, to seamlessly slide them around on the ground. While I did add that extra node, I don't think it's actually that necessary, so I'm going to delete it. Maybe even that one. Let's see. Okay, no, I definitely think we need one extra node. So once again, we can add it by just having the line right-click to selected red, and then adding the individual node, like so. I think that is a pretty good looking corner for a minimal amount of nodes. And this is looking pretty good. Okay, now that the spline looks really good, we need to add cones. This is done by first going to the cone folder of the Asset library. Then we need to right click on the spline to turn it red. Then we click on the cone we want to add. I just like this second one here, the plain white cone. So we click on it, and then we carefully place it on the red line, like so. Okay, now that the cone is placed, make sure the line is still red, select the cone, and we can press Ctrl and A to duplicate the cone along the spline. Typically, I then just like to press the delete key to delete the original cone, as its odd placing will lead to it not conforming to the pattern present on the rest of the spline. Now essentially, that's how to use cones and splines in Velocidrone. There's a couple more keybinds that I think are really important to know though. When we right click on the spline, you can also press Ctrl D to delete all of the objects duplicated along the spline. And remember, as I said last time, Shift D deletes the spline itself. Once again, can only be done when the spline is selected red. Okay, I'll quickly fast forward through doing the rest of the track lines on the track and come back when I'm done. And just like that, the track line is complete. I'd use the fast-forwarded section as a rough guide on how to route your splines on your own tracks. And with that being said, I think that's going to be the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.